I'm co-host James Ash.
And I'm co-host Phil Scaife.
Welcome to the Business Lockdown. I would love to welcome on today's show again Rigma from the Kadampa Buddhist Centre in Hull, East Yorkshire. Welcome today. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. I'm locked in, as somebody said to me. But that's fine, and we're learning to work with this, so it's good. I think it's helpful for people.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm super eager to delve into how you've adapted as an individual within your network, your community, locally and also globally, because you guys have Buddhist centres around the world, if I'm right. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll talk into a little bit of that, but a little bit of a backstory on how we know each other. I think we met about 5 years ago, and I was going through a period of exploration and seeking some mindfulness and support in different ways. And I came to the Buddhist Centre in Hull and joined the group meditation, and you were giving readings, and I just found that incredible at the time. And although you're giving readings to the broad audience within the room, it was strange how at times it felt like you knew what I was maybe going through, or what I was trying to come to terms with or think about and explore. And also then it was wonderful connecting with a lot of people at the centre as well, which was really wonderful. You know, coming away from kind of my network and my friendship circle and interacting with a range of people, spiritual people there. So that's a bit of background on how we know each other, and I'd like to thank you for your support over the years. And it's really wonderful that you've joined us today to offer some insight and support for our global network, which we are building through the business lockdown. So I guess my first question to you, Rigma, would be how have the last 3 weeks looked with you as an individual within a Buddhist centre, and how have you adapted to reach out to your community?
Well, I think it's been amazing for all of us because it's happened so incredibly quickly. And none of us could see those few weeks ago that we were going to be in this situation now where we're more or less locked down. As the time was passing on, I was vaguely aware, because I'm being supported. Somebody's going shopping for me because I have a problem with my breathing, and obviously I'm older. So just as the weeks were going by, there were sort of things that I thought, well, I really ought to buy that or get that. I was vaguely aware that, there wasn't much time left. And then I do have a friend living at Majamaka Centre out near York, our biggest centre in the countryside. And I said to her, so it must be just 2.5 weeks ago, I said to her, well, maybe we should make a last trip out to Bath. So I took her on a trip to the sea, and we had a lovely walk. And the cafe there was still open, so it was just at that time where everything was beginning to shut down. This is at Fraysthorpe on the coast near Briglington. The cafe was still open, and the owner was quite laid back, and he said, oh, well, if we have to shut down, I'll serve things from out the front because it's right on the sea. So anyway, we had a lovely day out, and then I think the following day, that was it. I wasn't really allowed to go anywhere after that.
Right.
So from a personal point of view, it's very important to me, just from the point of view of my breathing. The doctors advised me I do need to do some exercise. So what I'm doing actually from a personal point of view is just taking a bike ride occasionally out to the marina and back from here, which is, I think, still within the limits of what we're allowed to do. So that's my bit of exercise. From the point of view of the centre, of course, we were running classes that week. I think we came to a stop on the Monday. We'd just had a retreat at Majamaka Centre, which people really enjoyed. And then on the Monday, we had our last class, and then it became obvious that was it. We wouldn't be able to do any more. So fortunately, my admin assistant here is very techy. very good with these things. And he managed to find the last camera online that he could send for, because I think there was obviously panic going on. But he sent for this camera, because I have no idea how these things work. And he set up the link in our meditation room. So my main movements in the day are from my room up above, and I go down the stairs into the meditation room twice a day. I'm live streaming classes. So that first Tuesday, we managed to live stream a class, which was amazing, actually. And we got such a lot of good feedback from our community. And so to give you an example, for us, you know, we had 27 people logged in last night to the teaching. And I think people are realizing lots and lots of good responses from people saying it's a lifeline, actually, to have this in my own home twice a day. Because Buddhist teachings, they open our perspective up, and we can see things from a much bigger point of view. And of course, we teach people that developing and maintaining a peaceful mind is one of the most important things we can do in life. If we can give that time every day, we will notice that we're less stressed, less worried, you know, because there's lots of problems for people at the moment. So, yeah, just learning that and having the time to engage with it twice a day, I actually think is helping people a lot. It's not been easy to get things sorted out. There's cables everywhere and camera and lights. And don't touch that, Rigma, will you, when you're in the room? I'm sort of sealed in there, so I have to go in there and switch the camera on so that they don't have to come in. And then the technical support is behind a curtain in the back half of the room, so I can talk to them. But I'm not making contact because one of them's hospital worker, and you know, we have that online frontline workers in the centre, so they're keeping me isolated and out of the way.
Keeping you healthy. I did spot your first live stream, and I straight away was that right. I just shut everything else off and not only focused and joined you guys, but I created a watch party on Facebook, and I think it was about 38 people.
Right.
Via my link. So
wow.
And it's interesting, Rigma, that when I 2 or 3 years ago and was visiting you guys regularly, and I found myself talking to friends in the business community, and there was a number of those friends who had been to the centre before and
yes.
joined the meditation classes and stuff. So I not only shared your live stream, and it was taken up by 36, 38 people, but I also reconnected with those same people who had visited before and gave them a heads up.
Right.
And one were like they'll make a point of joining that and
yes.
their
yes.
daily routine and schedule.
Yes.
Rigma, under these times of panic, how can people seek calm? And that's, I don't know if that's that's kind of a niche question and very and very broad at the same time, I imagine. But what pieces of advice can you give to people on just trying to find some calmness in all of this chaos right now? Well,
it's very simple, actually. You have to take 10 or 15 minutes every day to let go of, you have to train yourself to let go of all the distraction, all the worry, all the stress. It's a training, and you have to go into that quiet space inside. And you can simply do, to begin with, a very simple breathing meditation. And then you have to concentrate on that and focus on that. And it's from that concentration in the mind and that mindfulness of that inner peace that you start to influence your everyday mind, and the panic and the stress gradually reduces. There's no easier way than that. You have to train yourself to sit quietly in your own space without any distraction for at least 15 minutes every day. Now, of course, we all know how difficult is that? And I say to people, look, there's 24 hours in a day, 8 hours you're asleep, and normally maybe 7 hours you're working. That's 15 hours. That leaves you another 7 hours. It's nonsense to say that you can't find 15 minutes. I mean, it's just not logical.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, people allow their mind to be pressured all the time. I mean, especially media people, I have to say, James, they allow the pressure, the busyness in the mind to just carry on 24 hours a day, and they don't sleep very well. They say, of course, exercise helps, but physical exercise isn't enough. We have to do this mental thing of isolating the mind. Now, something interesting for you guys is, because I had a problem with my breathing a couple of years ago, and I had to see the doctor, and actually then went to the physio, and he said, oh, you need to take more exercise. I said, really? He said, yes, you probably need to join the gym. I said, really? This has never been my thing at all. And again, fortunately in family, my eldest son supports me in this link to the gym, and I have been going. And my breathing has improved. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because it astonishes me how people do physical exercise, but they're mentally distracted all the time. They're plugged into something, they're talking to somebody. And I'm thinking, you're not getting the best out of this situation. The mind is too busy, and you have to give it some space.
We introduced some meditation within our team, and to get people's feedback, and we found that probably about 80% of the team were meditating on a regular basis.
Yes.
Certainly one or two team members were key in saying that was crucial to their daily routine, and that's what helped them in a number of ways. We do have a team member who's tried it before and said that she's just unable to calm down, to focus. And I remember saying how it's about training, and how if you go to the gym and you join a gym, especially in January, as many people do, and they say, I'm really going to give this a go, and they might be going 5, 6, 7 times a week for 1 or 2 weeks, maybe the first month, all of January, and then they look in the mirror and they say, well, I'm not seeing any difference. And and certainly for the first week or two, they're more tired, the muscles are aching. So they're like, well, I thought the gym is meant to make you feel fitter and give you more energy, and it's having the opposite effect, so I'm going to stop.
Right.
So I'm going to stop because it isn't working. And with the same as training the mind, right? I know from a personal experience when I used to meditate, and I know you're aware how busy my active mind is, someone with ADHD, and sometimes I would go to the centre and I'd just be my mind would be so busy, and that could prevent me from chilling out, from focusing. But likewise, it could also I could also see the benefits when I could then focus, because I would leave just feeling centered and refreshed compared to when I was coming in. And each week could be different, I could
absolutely.
You would
the mind
you would
the mind is amazing.
You would do 2 guided meditations within the session, and even with them, first one I might struggle, second one I could really get into, or vice versa. It's about keeping up with that, right? Keeping up with
it's keeping up. So I think it's slightly different from the gym in that you don't have this aching body to deal with. And mostly it is a win-win situation. But what I would say is it's very difficult actually to just continue completely on your own, which is why going to a centre and having somebody like me, I mean, I've been meditating for 40 years. And so that concentration of mind is a presence for people. And that helps them to develop a habit. And then they go and practice at home. But tuning in with a group actually is very beneficial. If you just try and do, which I tried to do when I was a young person, DIY meditation, you can do, you can get a book and you can follow it. You can do it, of course, you can do a little bit. But it's very helpful to attend a meditation center and to go to those classes. And we have, in all our centers all over the world, we have sort of basic meditation classes, we have Buddhist teachings and meditations, and if you wish, then you can go deeper. But you can start off very simply. So I'm online with a half-hour meditation every day at the moment. So it's great.
We'll channel people to, when we wrap up today, we'll channel people where they can find you. I know it's easy to go on YouTube, and if you've never tried meditation before, is you type in guided 10-minute meditation, or guided 20 minutes, or guided 30 minutes. And then there will be a range of videos that come up. Some are like calming, energized, centered, it's more spiritual. And what I have found from a personal experience is have a look at 4 or 5, just tap into them and see, because it also depends on the voice that is guiding on those videos as well. There's male and female voices. There's some that are more calming that you connect with. So I would urge people that's a good starting point. And certainly I find that more helpful than just a 10-minute meditation where it's lovely music, or you hear the ocean and stuff like that without the voice, kind of relaxing you and
well, that's I would say that's relaxation. That's not really meditation when you're listening to sounds, because meditation is when you're really in the mind. But I would also like to say, of course, from my point of view, we have these Kadampa Buddhist centers all over the world. And so if you were to type in, if you go on kadampa.org, you can type in your place name and it will tell you where the nearest center is. And all those centers will be live streaming classes at different levels at the moment. So, from my point of view, that's also an excellent place to start.
Because you've been to Arizona, there's a centre in Arizona.
Yes, so that was amazing, James. We had a big festival, a fall festival in Arizona in America. So I don't travel very much. I've only ever travelled in recent years with Buddhism. And so we had this fall festival with several thousand people gathering in our temple at the Grand Canyon. So you can type in Grand Canyon Retreat Center and I think it'll come up. I've never been there before. That was the most amazing experience. First of all, to fly into Las Vegas, which you can imagine for me is like, you come off the plane and there's all the betting machines, and the people
bright lights and...
Yes, it's just amazing. And the group that I was with from the center, that young group, including Top Girl actually, they all went off in the evening and went off, and I thought, no, that's enough just to be in the airport actually and to see all of that. And then it was I think a 5-hour drive to the temple. And so we were there a week, staying in a little house, and we had teachings and meditations every day. And the teacher there, Genlo Jampa, is a really, really good teacher, and you can live stream him actually as well. So yeah, if you want to explore these things. The thing with Buddhism is Buddha has an amazing perspective, an amazing understanding of the world, and it's worth just having a go and listening a little bit.
And with that in mind, Rigma, what is your meaning of the world right now? What's your take on an understanding of the world right now?
Well, I think Buddhism's very optimistic, because what Buddha teaches us is the world that's appearing to you is actually the experiences you're having are created by your mind on quite profound levels, finally. I mean, my background was in physics and maths originally. And somebody like Einstein, he let go of all the sort of ordinary views in order to discover what he discovered with relativity. He had to let go and discover something entirely different about the way the world is and how it works. And of course, the people at that time were amazed by what he discovered. And Actually, Einstein said reality is like an illusion, albeit a persistent one. I think that's a great quote. Reality is like an illusion, albeit a persistent one. So in Buddhism, what we understand, and what I think is really helpful, is that we can create a better world. Definitely we can create a better world. We're not limited, actually, by what we can see. So although things are very difficult at the moment, and we have compassion, of course, for all those people who are suffering, I think we have to understand that the way we react to this is important, and we have to see it as a teaching. It's telling us something really important. Now, the head of World Health Organization yesterday, he went online, a little clip yesterday, and of course he's not a Buddhist, but what he said is, you know what this is teaching us as human beings? It's teaching us humility. We're not in charge. We can't control everything. And we need to learn to work together. We need to unite and work together to care for each other and to carry this situation forward. And as I was listening to him, I thought, yes, actually, that's what we're doing from a Buddhist point of view. That's my perspective. I need to help people expand their perspective and to see things from a bigger point of view, and to try and help care for everyone around the world, actually. And make prayers and wishes for them. Does that answer your question?
Very much so. Very good answer there, Rigma. I mean, there are, just to kind of look into that a little bit, is that it seems that people are desperate to seek control when
yes,
a lot of it has been taken away from many people. And
yes.
What are you experiencing within your network? You know, how are people overcoming that? You know, and you spoke about just letting go, and that's a very difficult proposition, a very difficult.
Of course, yes, of course. So you have to understand what you find in Buddha's teachings is the reasoning is there. We have to let go. We have to patiently accept what's happening before we can move forward. If we get into conflict with it, keep fighting with it, it's just going to get worse. So we have to understand that clearly, that being in conflict and fighting and getting angry about things doesn't solve anything, actually. It's what comes up for us when we're strongly grasping, but doesn't actually give us any solutions. So the mindfulness is to be accepting, to be patient, to keep a peaceful mind, and that will give you the creativity to be able to see where you need to go, what you need to do.
You touched on your background a little bit, am I right in remembering you were a teacher? Is that correct? You were actually
I've done lots of things, actually, James. For many years, I was doing research at the London School of Economics. I had a degree in maths, physics, as I said, and also philosophy. Then I suddenly had a big family, so I brought up 5 children, as well as running the centre here. Yes, I've been a teacher. I used to be in community education in Hull. So I've worked all over the city with groups of people in deprived areas. I've done many things.
and how did Buddhism come into your life?
Well, right from when I was at university, I did meditation. To begin with, it was a bit DIY. But when I left university, I actually met a meditation teacher in Cornwall, and she was teaching me for 10 years. When she came to towards the end of her life, she said to me, "You're going to follow something a little bit more traditional." And I was a bit horrified and thought, oh, what does she mean? But not too traditional. The next year, after I was about 31 at the time, the next year I met my teacher, Geshe Kelsang. By accident, actually. I was taking a break from my life at the time, which was very complex. And I went to Manjushri, our big centre in the Lake District. and somebody introduced me to him. I didn't know who he was. And I went and had a cup of tea with him, and we had a lovely chat. And he just made a huge impact on my mind. And all I can say is that when I had this cup of tea with him, it felt like I was sitting in the chair, and I felt as if I was in this constant state of motion, because this person who I was sitting with was so incredibly still. I had never experienced anything like it. And it was like reconnecting with something. And yeah, I went from there, really.
Wow. Very, and it's like a little oasis that you have in Hull. It's a beautiful centre in Gaza.
Yes.
I remember a few years ago we joined a volunteering project in clearing the gardens, and
that's it. Yes.
look at it. So
Yes.
and again, just that feeling of coming together. There's a lot of people. I mean, personally, I'm not religious. So I'm more spiritual. And do you find that? How do you find people being introduced into the centre and meditation? And do people seem to fall in one or other categories in terms of religious or spiritual? Or?
It's interesting you should say that, James, because I wouldn't distinguish spiritual and religious in that way. And the interesting thing about Buddhism, of course, is Buddha just trained his mind. So he trained his mind through meditation, and then all he's doing is teaching us about our mind and the potential that we have with our mind. Buddha, therefore, is a teacher, a spiritual teacher, and reflecting something back to us about how we can work with our mind. So in some ways, that's quite different to other religious traditions, I guess. Spiritual, the term spiritual simply means that you're holding something that's over and above ordinary life. And so I would say through Buddhist practice, that's exactly what you're doing. You're following a spiritual path. You're holding a thread of understanding that's a little bit above and beyond the ordinary everyday of things.
Interesting. And now you've gone digital, so you're reaching out to new people who may not have joined you before in a physical sense at the centre. What kind of feedback have you been receiving? What have you had coming through from different people who have maybe even considered meditating or looking at mindfulness before?
Well, in some ways, I think we're still at the beginning of this because it is a new development. What I would say is we are encouraged at the centre. Just we're local. We're within Hull and North Lincolnshire, so we're actually reaching out to that area. At the moment, it's a lot of people who are already coming to the centre, and then a few new ones. But I would expect, because this is so easy to connect, I would expect that to increase, and for us to increase the new people who are logging on, because I think they'll enjoy the sessions. The feedback, excellent. People are really enjoying it. Yeah.
I saw on the live stream, I just saw like comments after comments after comments, and a lot of people who clearly hadn't seen you for a while, which was including myself.
Yes.
And the one thing that we're finding during these uncertain times and challenging times with Mara is that the amount that people are connecting and in different ways also. The reason was mentioned on pretty much every episode, the reason why we've created the business lockdown is to connect with people, and for the interviews then to connect with literally thousands of people, which we're experiencing. And that keeps coming up. We've spoken to a variety of people, from business coaches to small, medium, large business owners, to a doctor, to health coaches, and this connection keeps coming up, and everybody's diversifying. People are reaching out to those that they haven't spoke to in years. Because we're all so busy. We don't take our foot off the gas, and
absolutely.
And
Yes.
I imagine that's you're no different. That have you connected with some people that you haven't?
Well, yes, I would say so. But for me, in some ways, this is normal for me because I do a lot of retreat. So I'm often days in my room doing practice and meditation and then coming out to do teachings. The difference is that I'm doing teachings, streaming teachings, rather than people coming to the centre. But the lifestyle is quite similar to what I'm always doing, to be honest. And so I don't feel stressed by it. You know, I don't feel hemmed in, or I'm very used to, if you're a meditator, you're very used to being in your own space. But of course, also trying to reach out. So I'll do my practices and teachings through the day, and then there'll be times like this afternoon, I'm on a Skype group with some other teachers, trying to help and support them. And then I'll also be in touch with people who, family, for instance. I have huge family, all at a distance, so I have to check up on them. So yes, I guess we're all doing that. And yes, more distantly, relatives are getting in touch with me and asking me if I'm all right. Other people, randomly check in with me and say, "How are you doing, Rigma?" And I say, "Fine, how are you?" So yes, I think we are getting in contact with people more, aren't we?
Absolutely.
And in some ways, that can also be tiring.
Yes. Well, I mean, what I've experienced last kind of week is I'm in a very fortunate position where I am geographically. You know, I'm away from the UK. The weather is getting better. I'm in a quiet area anyway, and so there's not much change here where I am in Turkey.
Yes.
And I'm aware of that. So what I've been doing, or trying my best to, we've created this platform to connect with people. So we've got a media marketing agency. So we're like, right, we'll put our resources into this and do something positive where we can. But also it's been, you know, connecting with a variety of friends and family around the world that aren't in the same position. You know, people in New York are incredibly. Sometimes I've got a friend in Italy who who was contacted by the embassy in Morocco, the Italian embassy. She was in Morocco and managed to get on the last embassy flight out of there to Italy, but because of that, and she's in isolation in a room in Italy for 2 weeks, which is her old bedroom when she was a teenager. It's not much than able to have a bed in there. So I've been connecting with her, and we've been running little quizzes and just trying to any fun content to make people
to lighten it.
Absolutely. But also what I've recognised is then by doing all of that, I kind of forgot about what's important to me to be better. So my exercise regime has almost disappeared in the past week. So I've been out. We're talking about mindfulness. I've been out for a run this morning, so I'm like, right, I've got to get back on this. And it's also important to do the little odd jobs around so your environment is tidy, and as a result is peaceful. And so that's something I learned from visiting you guys at the centre and your readings, was that it's been, you know, you have to look at yourself and be the best version of you mentally, physically, to then benefit the people.
Yes, absolutely.
We can often forget that.
Yes, we can. Yeah, that's true. And for a lot of people, actually, they're addicted to being busy. They don't realize. They think that's their way of helping. They don't actually realize that by being quiet. Sometimes people say to me, "Oh, it's very selfish, you know, all this meditation." You say, "Well, no, actually, you kind of your motivation is so that you can be of more benefit to others."
Absolutely. And one of the things you advised on one of your tips was to take 10 or 15 minutes each day out of your day for yourself to have some quiet time to focus. If we flip that, what's something that's an easy piece of advice that people can stop doing? So what is this like that you're picking up on, that as busy humans we're always guilty of. What are steps that people can stop doing?
I think the biggest problem that we have is our iPhones, our gadgets.
Yes.
And I think we have to mindfully switch them off sometimes. Colleague of mine said this is a weapon of mass distraction. It's actually distraction. It's the worst thing, actually, on one level, for your peace of mind. And we're many of us are very addicted to the news at the moment. It's almost like you can't keep away. You want to see the latest thing. And even I find myself doing it. You keep pressing the button to see what the latest is coming up. And I think what's so helpful is to restrict that and to say, okay, like I say, I'm not looking at my gadgets until 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm up at 6. I'm up at 5:30, 6 every day. So I've got that period of time. And then again in the evening, switch it off. I mean, my eldest son is in finance, and I'm very impressed, actually. He says, oh, no, I switch off in the evening and I don't pick it up until, you know, the start of work in the morning. And I think that's good advice, actually, for your peace of mind. He
has got a good mentor, though, hasn't he?
That's probably true. Yeah,
it's a bit of a. He's got a bit of a gift there, so a bit of a leg up. I mean, we incorporated within our team a digital detox. So when our team were in the studio, in the physical studio, in the office, I spotted that we had team members. It would be getting to mid-afternoon, and they weren't being productive because they couldn't see the wood for the trees.
Yes.
Is that right? So,
yeah, that's right. No, that's right.
Too much coming at them, and I said, right, okay,
coming.
Right. Our afternoon breaks now are a digital detox. So you leave the studio, you physically leave the studio.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do as individuals, or come together as a team, go for a walk, or whatever. But there's no digital devices or connectivity in those 15 minutes, and we saw results straight away.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
The next day was tremendous.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, it's just that decision. Actually, if you make a mental decision, one is to not be distracted. The other one is to make your meditation time, for example. You make that decision and determination and stick to it, and it can change your life. Yeah.
We implemented that on one day, and I think it was the next day and the day after that. As a result of the digital detox, we then had team members buying a fruit bowl, and they were all then filling that fruit bowl for the office.
Yes.
So we had a positive impact
sharing
with nutrition and sharing. And then also it was, because our media marketing business is called Pink, but with a Q, but we have the colour pink coming through with stuff we do. And so they were really eager to then not only have water bottles on their desks, but pink coloured water bottles.
Right.
So we were seeing all of this positive activity and togetherness.
Yes.
Because we said, right, you 15 minutes, you're switching, we're all switching off. And we instantly saw a benefit to that. So I would certainly advise any entrepreneurs, business owners, anybody really, to be looking at detox as a family. I think is incredibly important.
Yeah. Yes. Can I just say, interestingly, I do have, because I do a family weekend every year at Majamaka, I do have quite a lot of children logging into my meditations at the moment as part of their homeschooling, because they know me from the classes that I've run. So they're very happy to sit. Even the 5-year-old, she sits apparently for the half-hour meditation, and after 15 minutes, she actually falls asleep because it's bedtime. And Mum says, oh, that's really helpful. You know, that's her way of going to sleep.
I'm sure there's no shortage of parents who will be watching this who are like, just anything, please give me anything.
Yeah.
We'll take anything. With that in mind, have you adapted your sessions because there are children viewing and watching it, or is there no need to adapt, or is that something you'll explore?
Well, what I have to say is I've probably got about 12, 15 children who've been coming to classes as part of the weekends that we do. So they learn the format. No, we don't make it any different. I'm not making out my sessions any different, and they're used to the way we do things. So I think they'll probably, as always, they'll go along with some of it, and then they'll probably tune out a little bit if there's too much information. And then when we go into them, everybody can meditate. Children are very good at meditation, actually, if you give them the space to do it in. They might not hold it for very long, but that's okay. That's okay. It works.
And they can build on that. I would be surprised if we don't see some members, some people in our communities and network, adapting and bringing this in. I saw an amazing article. I think it must be 2 or 3 years old now, where there was a school in America, and instead of detention for the kids, where they would be writing lines or punishing them, they would have them meditate and focus. Yes. And the results were phenomenal in terms of behavior, in behavior. I mean, I do wonder with that, in terms of meditation being new, how I don't have much insight. I tried to look into it and gain some clarity on how that was communicated, because I think one thing you'd have to be careful of is then meditation not used as a punishment. It would be
you don't want to. Yeah, you definitely don't use it as a punishment. I actually have been going into schools over the years quite consistently. I've done a few little projects with schools. So, for example, I did 2 terms that me and my colleagues, we went into a 6th form college here, and we were asked to teach meditation to what they called was the bottom set, which was supposedly young guys and girls of 15, 16, who weren't as bright as the others. And really what we did was to give them confidence. One of the things that Buddha teaches is we all have a potential to develop all positive qualities of mind. We're not stuck with some sort of personality thing. We can all learn to open up, to let go of irritation and frustration, and to learn to be confident and positive and happy in our life. So we kind of did that work, and the first year that we did that, they had amazing results. They were amazed, and they got us in for the 2nd year. Actually, also I've worked with younger children. Young children respond very well. They love to sort of sit, and you can be a little bit more creative with them when they go into their inner space, but they can learn things like, if somebody says something unpleasant to you, you don't have to grip onto it. You can think, oh, well, they're just in a bad mood today, I won't react. And so you just let go of it. And if you do that, if a young child learns to do that, of course, the person who's trying to aggravate them soon gives up. And it's a wonderful thing to learn when you're at school, to learn to let go. And not be wound up. It takes a bit of practice. My grandson's now 15, and over the years he said to me, "Oh, it works really well, Rigma, because somebody tries to wind you up, and you just don't buy into it. Not aggressively, but you just don't. You try not to take it on board, and then the relationship takes on a whole. The next day they might actually come up to you and say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Because you've let go of that conflict. So these are things that young people can learn. It's very, very helpful. And meditation helps too.
As well as adults. I mean, there's a lot of adults. I speak for myself.
Huge.
I was certainly into my adult life before I could really take a situation.
Yes.
You're just being very passionate and energized, and whether it's a good situation or a negative one, you're in it. And so that took some. I'd say that took some time for myself. So
of course.
I mean, if you're able to learn and develop that as a child, that must be
exactly.
Must be phenomenal.
And actually, my own children, my youngest son, often says to me, "Rigma, you can't say that. You're a Buddhist nun." They're great teachers, actually. Children, they teach us a lot.
Fantastic. Well, is there any books, any authors, any that you
Yes,
recommend?
well, of course, our teacher Geshe Kelsang, he's produced this book, How to Transform Your Life. Can you see that?
I can indeed.
And that is a free download. You can go to TARPA, which is our website for all our publications, and you can download that for free from TARPA, THARPA. And
THA?
RPA. And that's TARPA Publications, and it has all the lists of the books and so on. But that's the book to start with, Transform Your Life, written by our teacher, Geshe, who we say is a highly developed meditation master. So he has a lot to teach us.
That's amazing. We'll put the links on the post as well. So great. It'll either be above or below this video. So there'll be links and references as well. And yeah, I mean, where can people? So I think what's really important is where can people find you in terms of these live sessions now?
Well, I am really based for the local people. Mm-hmm. But as I say, if you go to kadampa.org, you can find your local centre. So we're encouraged to link in with our local centre and our local people. They're all over America, South America, Europe, everywhere actually, apart from probably the Arab states. Australia, New Zealand, Russia, you find these centres everywhere. So kadampa.org, if you type in the name of where you are, they'll tell you where is the nearest centre that you can then get these live streamed classes.
Fantastic. Well, again, Rigma, thank you so much for joining us today on the Business Lockdown.
My pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure, as always, connecting with you. It's tremendous. I've got a huge amount of love for yourself and for the centre, and I will look forward to not only myself watching your readings and your sessions, but I know that many will as a result of this video. So thank you very much for your time today, and yeah, I wish you all the best under these uncertain times.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to wish everybody well, because it's a very difficult time, and of course, there's a lot of suffering in the world. So we make prayers for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business Lockdown.
Please comment, like, share and subscribe to help build our global community.
We look forward to seeing you all soon.